Hello Saviors, welcome to another video. In this video we're going to discuss the weekly boss raid 48. The boss type monster is a plant type today. It is the name Solcomm. It's one of the newer ones that occurred in episode 13 patch. The attribute is Earth and the defense type is Ghost. So a couple of things to know about this boss is the Flame Wall. It's basically a firewall that goes across the screen with basically one opening gap. This is where you want to stand when you want to avoid the flame wall. It is random. It goes from left to right and from bottom to top, or top to bottom as well. If you happen to stand by the edge, you will be continuously damaged. That is actually what we will be doing because of the meteor showers, which will occur randomly based on the location of your character. This is similar to the mmorpg watch, where you drag the AoE magic circles at the edge of the map. This allows you to spread them out and gives you room in the middle to fight. A Rune of Fortitude will also be cast. This will increase your damage, however, at the expense of a life DOT. You will take damage periodically, and it also prevents healing. The next mechanic is Thunderbolt. This is basically cast randomly. This is by far one of the most annoying mechanics in this week's fight. And so expect yourself to be constantly casting your buffs because he will remove them if you happen to step in them. The last mechanic is an increased accuracy specialty by 3000. Unfortunately, this is actually very disastrous for scout players with high evasions. I don't expect anyone to be dodging anything in this weekly boss raid. And finally, this boss has another skill that is actually not mentioned here, and that is he has a skill where he casts a random pylon across the map, and if you happen to step close to this pylon, it'll trigger a wide AoE magic circle that prevents you from using any skills or spells. So why don't we jump right into the fight itself. So against this boss, since it's a plant type, I am actually using the Goddess Retribution plant type potions. And don't forget to use your Ice and Fire enchant rounds and the Letitia potion. The other thing to note is definitely get your maintenance set up and your armor enchant set up. If you happen to have Iggers that increase plant type damage, ideally bring that as well. So throughout this fight, I would say it is, like I said earlier, it is very annoying, mainly because there's just so much going on. I'm having trouble trying to keep up with the constant rebuffs, which of course is often on a delay. And as you see here, the flame wall occurs from top to bottom, and silly me, I forgot to turn on my cyclone for a single target, and I got hit by the Thunderbolt, and that actually removed all my buffs, unfortunately. So now I have 0 buffs. As he casts his Ring of Fortitude, I step in and I'm taking periodic HP damage, as you can see here. And typically I grabbed a few to increase my damage, but it wasn't, and I would say maybe it's sufficient enough. Now I'm just trying to buy some time here to get some time to rebuff, and notice that he casts a pylon, and that pylon in the middle is actually going to trigger if I step next to it, which incidentally you will, and I'm pretty sure most of us will trigger. So this is actually the Thunderbolt Attack, and I'm trying to avoid it to prevent another debuff. Another Flame Warrior calls, and it's going from left to right, and unfortunately, like I said earlier, I activated the pylon. So this is the Meteor Attack, and initially it will be a couple, 1 or 2. As you get closer towards the end of the fight, he starts casting more, and you want to drag them across the edge of the map. So another thing to note, if you happen to have common attribute points lying around, try to invest some into against Ghost type, and against Earth, and against Plant. And notice that he's casting a lot of stuff here, and he removes my pain barrier, which prevents knockback, and I'm getting knocked back constantly. Another Flame Wall is cast is from right to left, and I avoid that harrowingly through the gap itself. So at this point I realize I don't have my Bear and Gung Ho up. To the best of my ability, I try to... he casts Meteor again, and this is, I believe, 3 times. And I see, notice how I'm trying to avoid it at the same time, avoid the Thunderbolt Attack. Unfortunately, it is not easy. So I hope you guys have better luck in this, because I definitely don't. It's just too much going on. So how do you actually know when a flame wall is actually being cast? You'll notice that the entire map glows red. At that point, you know the flame wall is being cast. And silly, like I said earlier, standing by the edge, you'll get continuously damaged by the flame wall, and it kind of pushes you back if you don't have pain barrier on. Now there are actually some attacks you can tank. When he rushes in with the arrow cast, you can actually tank that if you have sufficient defense. But definitely some things you can't avoid is the meteor, the pylons, and the thunderbolts, and the firewall. So there's a lot of things that you have to avoid. And again, the flame wall is continuously damaging me, and I almost actually died there for a second. That other attack where he casts an AoE that spreads around, definitely avoid that. Unfortunately, I couldn't. And it gets kind of desperate towards the end here. So I think overall, if you really got the mechanics down, maybe same way for me if I do this a couple more times, it actually might be easier. I can't say for sure, only because all of these mechanics tend to overlap with each other and makes it really difficult. But if you guys can successfully do this, feel free to comment down below and let me know how you guys did it, because I, for one, can't really avoid any of these mechanics to the best of my ability. That being said, I hope you guys actually enjoyed the rest of the video. Again, feel free to like and subscribe and comment if you have any questions. Appreciate your time, guys. Thank you.